Hi, I just wanted to make a quick video to talk to you guys about how to choose a really good article from ScienceDaily.com. So, in your first module, when you go to the Nature of Science, towards the bottom, it's asking you to go to ScienceDaily.com. You're going to select a natural science article that was published within the past 6 months on a topic that hopefully is of interest to you. You're going to use this story throughout the whole term. So you definitely want to make sure it's something that you are interested in, if you can. So when you go to the next block, it takes you to this short answer assignment 1-2. Now this is ungraded, so you do not have to submit this. However, this assignment is actually part of your discussion for this week. So it's better to go ahead and just do it because you're going to be uploading it to your discussion anyways. So this gives you kind of the ideas of what you need to provide. So you're going to tell the title and the hyperlink for the news story that you select. You're going to provide a real brief summary of the story that you selected. What's the main topic of this news story? And then you're going to write a brief description of the branches of the natural sciences that you feel are part of this topic. So when you go to ScienceDaily.com, today is June 21st. So when you go, the top news stories and things like that will be different. But I just want to kind of show you how to select a good article. So in order to do that, the first thing is you want to make sure that you're selecting something from the natural sciences. The environment tab is always really good. That's typically covers climate, geology, meteorology. The health most of the time is good because that's going to cover biology. Just be really careful because psychology is not considered a natural science. So if you select something that has to do with meditation or psychological science or social sciences, that doesn't count as a natural science topic. But most anything having to do with health and medicine is going to work. You can get into things like depression as long as they're talking, and any kind of mental health disorder, as long as they are talking about some kind of medical aspect of it and not just the psychology of it. So before we get into this, I want to talk to you guys about data versus evidence. You want to select an article that has plenty of data and evidence. In fact, you need at least 3 pieces of each if you can, because this is going to support you on your future assignments. Now, I know that in this learning block, it doesn't talk about this part, but in the next learning block in Module 2, this actually becomes a really important assignment, so it's better to get this done ahead of time. And if you select an article that doesn't have enough data and evidence, I will tell you that on the discussion board, and then you'll have to pick a new one. So it's better to just go ahead and get it right the first time so that you don't have to repeatedly submit articles. So data is any kind of measurements from an actual investigation. Most of the time, this is going to be some kind of numerical number. So in here they tell you, okay, data in this instance is the size of the seed, the mass, number of seeds that germinated. So most of the time it's going to be some kind of numerical value. Now there can also be qualitative values, which is like descriptors, so like the color change, and there's quantitative values, which are the measurements. So then looking at evidence is going to be essentially the data that a scientist uses to support or refute the claim. So while they gathered evidence here, this was from an experiment about growing seeds on a paper towel, their evidence is the number of seeds that germinated. So for instance, this is in both data and evidence, which is fine. It's not always like that, but they could be saying, hey, you know what? The number of seeds that germinated on a Bounty paper towel was more than the number of seeds that germinated on a like Walmart brand towel or, you know, generic brand. So that could be their evidence is they had more. So back to Science Daily. I've looked at some of these already. Sometimes there's a lot of good things to choose from. So for instance, when I was looking through these, like this particular study was good, this one was good, this one was good. Sometimes though, you're going to find articles that do not have enough data and evidence to support your assignments. It's not that they're a bad article, it's just that it doesn't work for what you want it to do. So I'm going to show you an example of that one. So this link right here is taking you to looking at how Copper Age people lived. They based it on these stone tools that they found. Now, this is a really interesting article. However, just briefly kind of glancing over it, way too short. I can tell just by looking at this that there is not going to be enough data and evidence in it because of the fact that there's only 3 paragraphs in this information. Now at the bottom, it's telling you like you can reference the journal. So you could maybe go to the journal article and get the full article, and that might be better. But a lot of these articles in Science Daily are just summaries of studies that were done. It's meant to be more of a, hey, this is the scientific information that's coming out right now, and not an in-depth look at some things sometimes. So if you look in here and you kind of read over it, I don't see any kind of data listed here. Typically it'll stand out, like I said, as those measurements. So this is not a good article. Now, if I go back to the beginning, I'm going to click on this one. Health ones are always good. Most of the time they always have a lot of data. So when I click on this one, okay, they always give you a little summary at the top. Please don't copy that summary as your summary. That's plagiarism, and we don't like that. Make sure that you're writing it in your own words. So we have this one. I can tell, like, okay, good. It's nice and long. Most likely it's going to have data in it. So right here, it's saying the team examined 11 pancreas specimens, 8 of which were from donors who had type 2 diabetes and 3 from donors who did not. So that right there is data, okay? This right here, this next part is actually evidence. Whereas the 3 non-diabetic pancreatic tissue specimens contain no detectable titanium dioxide crystals, the crystals were detected in all 8 titanium dioxide pancreatic tissue specimens. That is evidence. It's basically telling you that these crystals are found a lot in pancreases that have type 2 diabetes. So this automatically right now is looking pretty good. You have at least one piece of data here and one piece of evidence. Right here, there's more evidence. Okay, they found more than 200 million titanium dioxide crystals per gram of titanium dioxide particles in the specimens from T2D donors, but not in the 3 specimens from non-diabetic donors. So we're doing pretty good with this article here. And then there's more evidence down here. It's saying that raises the possibility that type 2 diabetics could be a chronic crystal-associated inflammatory disease of the pancreas. So that's another piece of evidence. So this is a really good article to use. If you go down even further, they give you more things about how much it's increased by. So this is a good one. I'm going to show you one other good one. From the environment. Climate's always good. Biology is always good. So we're going to go here. Sure. We'll just look at the beetles one. Now, like I said, whenever you guys get in here, it's going to be different for you because it changes every day. But I just wanted to give you some example. All right, so first thing is I'm looking at the length. Oh, this looks kind of short. So that's not to say it doesn't have things in it, but it's looking a little short. I'm just reading through it real quick. So this says warm winter temperatures are likely allowing mountain pine beetles to establish outside of their native range. So that would be a piece of evidence. Massive outbreaks in recent decades have consumed large swaths of western forests where 100,000 trees may fall every day. Some regions have lost 90% of the conifers. So that's a piece of evidence. So we're looking okay. I don't think it's going to have 3 pieces of evidence and data. Beetle populations are exploding thanks to warming temperatures and longer reproductive seasons. So that's a piece of evidence. Okay, now what is not a piece of evidence is this thing's here. This is just background information telling you what the beetles do. That's not the main point of the article, so you want to be careful to avoid that kind of pitfall. All right. So as I said before, if you if you select an article that doesn't have enough evidence or data, I will definitely let you know, but you will have to redo your assignment, and then that graphic once again is here. And just make sure that you're selecting an article that is from the natural sciences. Let me know if you have any questions.